Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand up comic host of Bachelor Nation News. And we have our marquee story of the day and possibly the year. This might go down as the biggest storyline of 2022, which says a lot. It says a lot because we've had a roller coaster of a year. And let's just say we need our seatbelts on for this one. We've got Johnny DeFilippo on Instagram today singing country music lyrics. She broke my heart. She got the best of me. Okay, so he's singing that. Apologies for my voice. He's singing that. Now Victoria doubles down. She says, when you get called a flipping, you know what? See you next Tuesday. In your relationship, it's time to move on. So we've got this jockeying for storylines. We see this often in political worlds where you try to hammer down a message to the audience. If you've done something bad, you try to hammer down what your opponent did. You try to just play this game of shifting blame. Victoria is a master at playing the game of shifting blame. We've seen it all the way from Pilot Pete's season. I'm going to try my best to be as objective as possible, but we know we can only be so objective. I'm going to share for you what Nick Viall has said. Of course, he's on Team Greg Grippo and Victoria. He's going to be interviewing Victoria. He's friends with them. They hang out. So, of course, he's going to understand the humanity that exists within Victoria. And I do, too, to an extent. As I've mentioned before, Victoria comes off well on Bachelor in Paradise. She's got plenty of friends. She's got plenty of people getting her back. It's only the people that have truly been scorned by her that kind of feel a different way. We saw that play with Pilot Pete, maybe Chris Soules, other people that she's dated, now Johnny DeFilippo. So it's almost like the nuclear codes don't get used until it's a situation where, you know, the heart is involved. You know what I mean? So that's what happens. We have different blind spots, different triggers. So we watch this all play out. Johnny's essentially accused her of cheating. We know that what was shown on the show last night wasn't everything that was said. I'll show some of Reality Steve's spoilers as he's talked about what actually went down. Johnny DeFilippo accuses Victoria of throwing a glass of wine at him. That never made it to the air. That would be domestic assault. That would be violence, right? That would be DV. That doesn't get played out here. Maybe for legal reasons. Maybe it was just too much and too triggering. I'm not sure. But there's so much that doesn't get played out. Victoria says that he called her the C word. In reality, Steve's reporting of it, Johnny denies it. But as we see, Nick Viall says, well, Johnny never denied it. Well, we watched a edited version of what went down. He, of all people, would know that that's what goes down. So we're going to share all that. Victoria doubles down with her Instagram status last night. When you get called a flipping crude in your relationship, it's time to move on, she says. So she's going to hammer down the point that she moved on because he crossed the line with the words he used. And his message has been, we were still working things out when you began emotionally cheating on me. We'll never know the full timeline, but Bachelor Data does a good job of sharing this right here. 5 months? Because Victoria said, I think what people forget is that this was 5 months ago. So I'm excited in my new relationship. So others have replied, this is why lawyers tell you not to talk, because you will incriminate yourself. It hasn't been 5 months. It's been very less than that. Paradise began filming on June 7th. They got engaged early July. June 28th is when they wrapped filming, so they got engaged late June. And then Greg and Victoria were spotted in Italy on October 21st. Now, could they have begun dating just randomly from that day on October 21st? That was the first day they ever did anything physical? Absolutely. Absolutely. But Johnny's biggest fear was that she had a guy on the back burner, and he felt like when things were going rough and when the relationship wasn't working out, that she ultimately had another guy in the old pipeline, as it were. And again, look, did he say some of the things she's accusing him of saying? Maybe. We're going to play what Nick Viall has to say about all this, which is pretty much a stark difference from the opinions of people like Reality Steve. Reality Steve joined me last night on my live stream. Here's a quick clip of our conversation, and then I'll play what Nick has to say. What was your thought about things that were left out? We did not get to see the wine glass toss accusation.
Mom.
Shoot, sorry about that. I just lost it. Correct?
Yeah, we didn't see that. For those that don't know, Johnny, after Victoria threw out the "you called me an F and C word" and the thing about the cooking and cleaning and what good are you as a woman, Johnny retorted back with, "Well, you also told me that you also threw a wine glass at me, and you told me that you were out of my league." So it's like they didn't present a fair argument. They only showed Victoria's side, and yeah, granted, it's all hearsay. But the problem is with everything that Victoria said, and kind of even with what Johnny said. Even though I think most people are taking Johnny's side, everything that they presented, and in terms of the emotional cheating and stuff like that you had talked about, the only way for us to know is if literally Victoria pulls out her phone and says, "Hey, America, this is every text that Greg and I sent to each other while as an engaged woman."
Now, and thank you so much for calling in Reality Steve. You can go check out last night's live stream to see the full timeline there of our conversation. What Nick says, he or Natalie ends up sharing, and I don't know if we'll get to that in this video. She shares her receipts from Victoria telling her she was officially single. Now, does that mean Johnny knew she was officially single? Or was Victoria like, I'm done with this guy, but she was still trying to work it out? That's what we don't know. Here's what Nick and Natalie have to say regarding their points of view on the scenario. And by the way, I'd love to know what you guys have to say. Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Because, basically Johnny was playing sad boy and then questioned Victoria's character and essentially accused her of cheating, right?
Totally.
Like,
And
he accused her of cheating.
And it's...
We lose faith right away when he says Johnny was playing sad boy. Johnny was sad. Johnny's heartbroken. That's how Johnny feels. Saying he's playing sad boy almost makes it sound like he's manipulating the situation. I don't believe he's doing that.
Victoria was given such like a test in that way, just even in the way they structured the filming. The fact that Johnny comes out first, he gets all of his alone time. He gets to kind of tell Jesse / everyone in the audience / America what happened. Suddenly you're thinking of Victoria as this person with low character, as this person who's potentially cheating. It's why her entrance into the soundstage was so bad, because everyone's thinking that she's this bad person. We're believing Johnny because it's the only POV that we've heard.
Well, to respond to that, I mean, sure, if this operates in a vacuum, but we've seen several years of Victoria's character play out. This isn't the first time people have wondered if she's quote unquote a bad person. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's like everyone else. She's got her flaws. She's got blind spots. That's the nicest way to put it. But let's not pretend like Victoria just came out of a nunnery here.
Sure.
So then she's automatically kind of she has to go even. She has to try twice as hard to get her point across, because we now all have Johnny's words in our heads. But she had good points of, what is the standard amount of time I'm supposed to take before finding someone new. And I honestly wish, and I know they probably couldn't do this,
to finish that thought, what is the appropriate amount of time to find someone new when the person you're in a relationship with you calls you a fucking
C word,
cunt?
and I'm just trying to avoid their swearing.
I think everyone knew those were the words.
By the way, there is going to be a lot
out.
of swearing in this clip here, so we're not going to be able to avoid it completely, but maybe I'll talk over it for the YouTube algorithm. But so Nick's hammering down the point. And this was recorded before Victoria. It's almost like, and again, I don't think they share the same PR people, but it almost like they are. So she posted this last night, but he had probably recorded his episode beforehand. So they basically, whether it's from just groupthink or they've had this conversation before, say, let's hammer down the point. When you get called the C word, you get to move on. But I reject the premise of that argument because A, Johnny has denied calling her that. Which, again, I'm not saying he didn't, but B, that doesn't mean that she wasn't emotionally moving on before the C word was called. Like, we don't have a stopwatch saying, well, he called her this, and then she started texting Greg the next day. We don't know that to be the case.
But those words, yeah.
In case you didn't.
In case you didn't know, Victoria accused Johnny of calling her a fucking cunt. And Johnny didn't deny it.
A flipping
She also
crude.
said the cooking and cleaning, and he did say to that was a joke.
Yeah.
But
so
the fucking cunt was not a joke. And
yeah,
he
did respond to the cooking and cleaning. And listen, like I absolutely plan on asking Victoria like what role she played. I mean, she claimed the relationship was toxic. She didn't sound like she was necessarily blaming him for all the toxic behavior. She was just saying the relationship itself was toxic. And I'd love to ask Victoria how toxic it was and what role she played. I didn't get, and that's the impression I got from Victoria, where she was saying like, we just weren't a fit. Like, I have certain standards that I want, and we didn't have it in this relationship, you know?
And look, it's not even rare this isn't siding with Victoria. It's not rare to emotionally cheat if you think the relationship's a dead end. It's not rare. I'm sure that happens, especially someone like Victoria who does have other options. But let's not deny that it happened. I mean, look, and again, maybe it's better for her to just like not admit to it. But I think it might be like, you know what? The relationship was on the way out. Greg was my friend. It's almost like take Katie Thurston, right? In her scenario, she doesn't deny that she was friends with. I'm already forgetting John Hersey. She was like, yeah, he was my friend, and then the relationship ended and it became something more. That doesn't necessarily mean there's emotional cheating so much as just like, yeah, there was another friendship or relationship, whatever you want to call it, on the side that crept up. That's just like that meme, the guy she told you not to worry about versus the guy, that exists because there is always somebody who somebody said, don't worry about them. And then they then become the problem.
It's definitely like I've been in both positions before. I understand Johnny, right? I understand being in a relationship with someone, you break up and immediately they're in a new relationship, or it feels like immediately they're in a new relationship. And that sucks. And I've felt that before. And so I do feel for Johnny and I do have sympathy for him in that instance. But I also have been in a very toxic and very abusive relationship to where when I got out of that, finally, it took me forever. When I finally got out of that and my next relationship was toxic, not to the extent as the last one, I was very quick to get out of it because as soon as I saw the signs, I was like, I've told myself that I'm not going to put up with this any longer. So like, I will be getting out. And I left so fast. And I think, I am obviously very good friends with Victoria and I know about her past. And I think she just, when she saw the signs of it being as toxic as it was, she was like, I'm stepping away from this completely.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
Yeah, I think some things are just fireable offenses. Like there's not a meeting with HR. It's just like you're gone. Like you stepped on.
There is no exit interview.
Yeah. It's like you're out of there.
Yeah. It's just like for some people it's not in their vocabulary. It's just not, like for a lot of men, it's not in their vocabulary to get mad, raise their voice and call their partners a fucking bitch or a fucking cunt or anything like that. Like that's
I think to not make it gender-based, I think when people are upset and they don't know how to access their true feelings, they do resort to words. I do think that's more common than he's giving that credit. People who stub their toe go, "Oh shit!" Right? When you don't have access to your true feelings, I'm feeling hurt because when you don't respond to my calls, I feel like, whatever the scenario is, when we don't have access to those true feelings we're feeling, we just go, oh, you son of a gun, So I think he's giving actually the scenario too much credit. I don't believe Johnny is the type of person that is fully aware of their emotions through vocabulary that's going to come off like, well said. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Victoria is either. I can imagine they are not good at communicating. It doesn't change the question about the timeline that exists. So they, somewhere in this conversation, pull out screen grabs of text messages saying she said she was single at this point. Very well, very well. The idea, though, that I said this with Reality Steve last night, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. The idea that they went to Rome on a first date is very much like, how am I supposed to build trust with what Victoria is saying when they say they went to Rome on a first date? I go to Starbucks on sometimes I go to a Panera Bread on a first date. I've done first dates in Central Park if you want to get cheap. I'll go to Sheep's Meadow on a first date. I don't really go get spaghetti in the Cap. You know what I mean? I'm not at the Coliseum. That's not a first date for me. So if that's the case, I just don't buy it. And then secondly, Johnny goes, and I don't have the clip of this, but he says something along the lines of like, why are you posting videos with Greg Grippo? And she goes, what are you talking about? I'm not posting videos with Greg Grippo. She goes, what are you talking about? And then Johnny says, well, you did that honeymoon suite in Nashville, didn't you? And she goes, what does that have to do with anything? So she doesn't deny it. And in a normal conversation that's not on TV, you don't get cross-examined and it's not recorded. You can get by with kind of just like skirting issues. But in a case like this, she didn't get by with skirting an issue. So what Nick and Natalie here are not doing is properly cross-examining her role in dodging Johnny's valid questions. Right? So anyway, I don't know, folks. Let me know what you guys think. So much to get into. I didn't even share like a tenth of what I have here. All of the spoilers that were left out, that Nick also left out because it wasn't shown in the final edit, are him denying calling her the C word and him saying she threw a glass of wine at him. So maybe she threw a glass of wine at him. He goes, you're raging C word. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But you can go check out my thing last night. Also, he posted this. That's all, folks. And he sang the song, which we had in the opening credit here. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong one right there. He sang the song. Can I go backwards here? Let's go to Johnny's final words here. He goes, well, that's all, folks. She broke my heart. So there's Johnny DeFilippo. Good luck with your next relationship. That's all she wrote here, folks. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm sure we'll have more content coming your way. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to make sure you check that out, along with Bachelor Rush Hour. We'll have a full recap at the end of the day, every single day on the podcast. Link in the comment section below. Bye, everybody.